Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zapersky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business. Hey, it's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm very excited to have Sam Silverstein joining us. Sam, welcome.
Hey, it's great to be here, Michael.
So Sam, for those who aren't familiar with your work, just take a moment and explain what you do.
Wow. Sometimes I don't even know if I know what I do. I'm an author. I'm a professional speaker. I'm a consultant. I work with organizations around building a culture that inspires accountability.
Love it. Your clients have included Pfizer, Remax, Kraft Foods, Aflac, Mayo Clinic. The list goes on. I mean, it's in looking at who your clients have been over the years, it's a very significant list in many different industries, Sam. And I guess the first question that I have for you is, how did you go about building such a diverse group of clients? Because many consultants focus in on specific industry or area where they really build their brand, but your clients have been varied and wide ranging. How did you get to that place?
Well, that's a great question. And really it follows the model for my business, which is the consulting work that I do is driven by my speaking work. And so I speak in front of a variety of clients. And then from there, it opens the doors for me potentially or possibly to consult. So a lot of those clients that you see in there, quite frankly, are clients that I've spoken for that I may or may not have consulted with. And so I don't want that to be misleading in any way, shape, or fashion. But as a speaker, I have the opportunity to be in front of a diverse set of organizations because I don't focus on industry, I focus on topic. And my topic is accountability, and specifically accountability as a derivative of creating a certain type of organizational culture. And that's what drives everything I do. So all my writing, all my books, all my speaking, that front end of my business, my assessment tools, hopefully then yield and connect to some consulting and development opportunities with clients.
All right. And so we're getting actually to a lot of the other questions or topics that I want to explore with you. We'll come back to the accountability piece in just a moment, because that's one that I'm very interested in hearing your perspective and experience on. But before we even get there, let's kind of talk about your offerings. You mentioned that really what gets you at the table or gets you in front of ideal clients is the speaking. That's kind of the initial engagement. And then from there, in certain cases, some of them might say, hey, can you also consult with us and for us? What does that actually look like? I mean, take us through maybe one example that you can share. How did it go down? I mean, you're up there on stage, you're giving your talk, and then what happens from that point? Do you have a kind of a choreographed sequence or steps that you follow as part of your process to make that next offering to a prospective buyer? Or does it just happen? They kind of say, hey, can you consult for us? What's your approach to that?
Well, it is probably the greatest challenge I face, converting a speaking opportunity into a consulting opportunity. Because many times when they're hiring me to speak, it's someone that maybe it's a meeting professional in an organization, and they're planning a 2-day conference and they're looking to fill the 9 till 10 o'clock spot on the first day. And they really don't beyond that. That's not their area of responsibility. They're not connected to it. They're not the CEO. They're not the ones that have to actually implement and make it happen afterwards. And so therein lies the challenge. So there's one of two ways. If I have the opportunity on the front end when I'm putting the job together to speak with someone who has the ability to purchase the consulting, then I try to connect to it early on. So for an example, I had a client, a multinational company based here in the U.S. that was booking me to speak at an annual leadership conference they were doing with 800 of their top leaders. They have 17,000 employees, and we hadn't closed the deal yet. He was ready to do it. And I said, I can come in and give you that speech and do a great job and hit all the buttons you want to hit, but can I throw another option at you? He said, sure. And so I said, well, how about if we use our organizational assessment tool that we've developed that actually can identify where accountability is strong and isn't strong in your culture, and where your culture is today, and if there's any drift in the culture, and then come in and speak with a cross-section of your people, and then debrief with you so that you know how to address these issues in real time, as well as use that information in my speech. Well, so in that situation, he went nuts and he jumped on it, and I turned a speech into a speech plus a small consulting opportunity. So I'll do it that way. The other way is when I'm on site and I have the opportunity to meet the individual in the organization that can use my services, I'll ask them a simple question. Would you like to discuss a little bit further how to take what we talked about today and make it happen in your organization? If they say yes, then that's going to start a conversation. And sometimes I use my assessment tool as a way to open that door or as a starting point. It sort of just depends on the client.
I think you offer two really great examples and even some wording that those listening can implement themselves. What about in the situation where you are speaking in front of an audience, you don't have time maybe to make that offer around the consulting piece? How do you handle follow-up, or what have you found in terms of some best practices to be able to land additional business, whether it's additional speaking opportunities or consulting engagements, assessment kind of tool offerings with those that you've spoken to? Or have you found a good way to kind of manage that?
Well, it's interesting because it seems like they want to talk to you they'll give you whatever you want up until that speech. After the speech, very often they're moving on. And so the key ingredient here is the relationship. How close of a relationship? How well can you connect with that person that you're trying to connect with? If the message really resonates and you can connect with them on a deeper level, not just on the surface, and if there is a real need, then that intersection of all of that enables you to follow up. And so that follow up may come in the form of phone call. It might be an email that setting up a phone call. Then there has to be clarity in what your offerings are, what you're going to offer the client, what can you do for the client, how might you be of service or value to the client? And of course, it's always based on their needs.
Yep. Great advice. So let's talk about accountability here for a moment. It's at the core of your messaging. What does accountability really mean to you? And why is it so important for consultants and business owners and leaders for that matter, to really understand it? Because I think it's a term that's thrown around a lot these days, probably not truly understood or acted upon by many.
Well, that's just it. I've written 7 books on this. I've done a tremendous amount of research, case studies. I work with clients on it. And so I'd like to think I know what I'm dealing with. At the same time, it seems like every year I'm always learning more, which I love. That's the exciting part. What I've discovered is that everything we've been taught about accountability is wrong. Accountability is not a way of doing, which is the way most people see it. Accountability is a way of thinking, and specifically it's how we think about our people. So a lot of time leaders use accountability to try and manipulate their people to do more. That's not what accountability is. The old expression, I hold my people accountable, that will never work. That's like putting a gun to someone's head. The truly great leader helps their people be accountable. And as you can imagine, that's a different relationship. If I know you're helping me be accountable, if I know you're helping me achieve my goals, if I know you're helping me succeed, then all of a sudden there's a different bond between me and you. And that different bond is going to create a scenario, an environment where I want to be accountable. And as soon as that happens, the game changes. So I define accountability specifically as keeping your commitments to people. There's always people involved, so there's always relationships. And those commitments aren't showing up at 9, getting the report done by 3, cleaning up where you're supposed to clean up. Those are your responsibilities. If you're not doing your responsibilities, I think you should be fired. It's that simple. Why would you keep paying someone that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing? The real commitments are from leaders to their people based on things like a commitment to live the values, a commitment to stand by you when all hell breaks loose, a commitment to my word is my bond. Many of these commitments are commitments that are never spoken, but they must be taken on by leaders if they're going to build that deeper, more meaningful relationship and create an organizational culture that inspires accountability.
So what would you say to people who, and I think many of us have found ourselves in this situation at one time or another, or have at least worked with people who know what they need to do. They have a clear kind of end goal or result in mind, and they know even the steps they should be taking to get there, but they hesitate to take action. They hesitate to implement. What have you found as an effective way to support those people, to help them to actually do what they say that they are going to do or do what they know that they should do?
Well, so now we're talking about procrastination more than accountability,
Mm.
in my opinion.
Okay. What's the difference in your mind, the difference between procrastination and accountability? How do you define them?
Well, accountability is keeping your commitments to people, and procrastination is the inability of someone to get off the mark. They're putting things off for one reason or another.
Mm.
They don't know what they fundamentally believe. And so if I've promised to deliver something to you by tomorrow afternoon, got a report, or maybe we've had a meaningful conversation and I said, I'll have the proposal to you tomorrow by 3. If I don't get that to you on time, what do I believe about respect? What do I believe about my word is my bond? What do I believe about the relationship between people, how you see people, how you treat people? That's really what's at play, because I can't tell you, well, yeah, I respect people. No, if I'm not getting you that on time, that's totally disrespect for you, for your timetable, for your needs, for your concerns. And so there's a value situation that has to be in place, whether it's an organization dealing with organizational values or you and me dealing with our own personal values. And until we get a handle on that and truly know what we believe, then we're not going to ever make decisions that are consistent. We're not going to follow up. We're not going to live what we say we're going to do.
I love that, and really resonates with me because I've witnessed many people who don't do those things, who say they're going to do something and then don't follow up as promised or don't show up as promised or miss a meeting or whatever it might be. And I'd love to get your perspective on this, Sam, because there's plenty of examples of people who are quote unquote successful, right? They've built successful businesses. They have, high incomes or high net worths or whatever you kind of want to define as success that society might kind of put out there. But yet these same people in many occasions don't show up for meetings on time or don't do what they say that they're going to do. Someone might look at that and say, well, yeah, it doesn't hurt them. Yet when I look at that, I go, even if it doesn't hurt them directly, like why they want to live that way? And that just for me is a values thing. So I'm really resonating with what you're saying there. But what's your experience and your perspective on those who are quote unquote successful, but don't adhere to necessarily those same values and don't honor their word the way that you and I would expect that people should?
Well, you can be financially successful and not be a nice person. You don't have to be a nice person to be financially successful.
Very true.
You can be unethical and be financially successful. So you can be incompetent in this world that we live in and be financially successful. And so when you say successful, if you're talking about financially successful, well, you can be financially successful and break all the rules, but that doesn't mean that you're living the life that tell you what kind of life you should be living. One of my commitments is a commitment to a good reputation. A leader maintains a good reputation for themselves and for the people they lead, because if you're my leader and you have a good reputation, that good reputation also umbrellas over me, and you're inspiring me to want to protect that reputation. If you don't have a good reputation, well, then that also reflects on me and how the world, market, whatever people see me. So the fact that someone's financially successful doesn't mean that they're accountable. It doesn't mean that they're contributing to the community. It just means that they're making money. That's all it means. Actually, Bill Gates quoted Warren Buffett. And now that's not bad company anyway around it. And their measure of success is at the end of the year, do the people that you care about, talking about financial numbers, they were talking about personal relationships. So I want to build a business around relationships. I want people to say that when Sam said he was going to do something, he did it. I want people to say, Sam cares about the community that he lives in, and it's not just about the pocketbook. I want people to say, Sam doesn't give back, Sam gives, because giving back connotates a condition. You gave to me, therefore I give to you. No, I want to give first. So I don't want to give because I feel like obligated to give back. There's nothing wrong with giving back, but I would rather initiate the gift because I feel like it's the right thing to do. I want people to say, Sam goes into communities and contributes his time and energy and teaches about accountability, even in scenarios where he's not being paid, because he believes truly in his heart that that's what his mission is. Those are the things that I want out. And so if I really believe that, then at the end of the day, I have to look in the mirror and say, well, where are my actions lining up with that? And if they're not lining up with that, then there's hypocrisy. And so that's where all that comes in. Am I keeping my commitments to people on a meaningful level, but also on a surface level, the transactional stuff? That's the easy stuff. Now, between you and me, if you don't keep your commitments to me in the transactional stuff, I'm not going to do business with you because that's a lack of character.
Yeah. I took us on a bit of a tangent here, Sam, but I'm really glad that I did because this is core stuff. This is not just tactics or marketing stuff. This is the core of all of us as humans, as how we want to be known and our reputation, as you mentioned. So thank you for sharing that. I want to bring us now back to a couple of other things that we can explore together around your business and how you got to where you are today. You mentioned that speaking is really like the inroad. It's the starting point for a lot of what you do with organizations. But in order to actually land those speaking engagements, when we kind of talk about generating a pipeline of opportunities and qualified leads that feeds your business, what have you found over all your years to kind of be the most effective way to go about generating those qualified leads? While we work with a lot of seasoned and experienced consultants here at Consulting Success, I'm often contacted by new early-stage consultants. Invariably, the question I'm asked is, what are the steps I should take to become a successful consultant and grow my consulting business to my first 6 figures per year? Well, I'm excited to announce that we've opened the doors for our Momentum program. This is our most popular program for early-stage consultants, and it has helped almost 1,000 consultants to start, run, and grow successful consulting businesses. It gives you the step-by-step plan to help you with your messaging, your fees, and pricing strategies, how to win more proposals, how to go to market more effectively, developing a marketing system to generate leads consistently, and so much more. And right now, until September the 19th, you can sign up for Momentum and get 50% off the regular price by going to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Only 100 spots are available to join Momentum and get 50% off. This deal is only available until September the 19th or until all 100 spots are gone. We won't be opening up new spots in this program for several months, so don't wait. Go to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO.
It's not an easy thing to do, obviously, but the answer to your question is sort of multifold. I mean, first of all, you need to have a great speech so that when you do speak, people enjoy it. People find the message significant, meaningful. It's not abundant. It's not the same old stuff they hear from everyone else. And you deliver it in a way that's entertaining, that causes people to think, that has emotion involved, whether it's laughter, whether it's pathos. And so you really have to master that craft independent of being a consultant. And that's where I started. When I left the business world, when I sold my business, I started writing and speaking. And so that for me came first. I got involved with the National Speakers Association. I mean, I'm even a past president of the National Speakers Association. So I had a love for speaking and I developed that. You have to be great on the platform. The next thing you have to do is leverage off of relationships that you already have. It seems like we want to get away from those industries, those niches that we were known in, but leverage off of those relationships. Create an abundance of content. Every week on LinkedIn, you can find me, and every week I post an article, I post a video. I'm always creating content and creating ideas and putting it out there. And I try to keep my website up to date and engaging so people can find me that way. The other thing to do is market to associations, first on the state level, then on the national level. If you can get in and speak to associations, usually in an association meeting, everyone there is from an industry. And then you have the ability to potentially speak to all those individual companies, or you have the ability to take that association presentation and turn that into consulting opportunities with all the members of the association. And
so Sam, let's just explore that for a moment. You mentioned the associations. How do you reach out to them? Is it a letter? Is it an email? Is it a phone call? How are you actually making that contact? And what does that initial contact say? Just kind of a quick outline, if you could offer one, what is the approach that you've found to be effective with that?
There's multiple ways of doing it, and we've done it all. We have called. Now, first of all, you have to understand, like anything else, they're getting bombarded. I'm not the only one that wants to speak. And there's more than two others, if you know what I mean. And they are getting flooded, but we have called. I have emailed and had links in the email. We do research. We go. We find the organization. We find out when their annual meeting is. We look at it's all out on the internet. You look at who they've had in the past. You send an email. You reach out. You know when their meeting is. You can assume that 10 months before the meeting is a good time to start connecting with them. There's a link in the email to my preview video. We try and encourage them to go look at the video. Then we follow up. We do campaigns where we'll take one of my books and we'll send it to the association exec of every state association for a particular niche. So there's a national and then the state level. So you have to figure there's roughly 50 state levels to go with the individual national level. We might send out 50 books with cover letters and then follow up with phone calls. If I speak at a state level organization, and I build a relationship with the executive director, the president, whatever their title is, I'll ask them, can you introduce me to someone at the national level? And then many times they can. And then if I speak at the national level, then it gives me the opportunity to be seen by all the state level. And they might want to bring me back to all the state level. So it's up and down and up and down. And it's a never-ending process.
In all of that, have you found one thing that just tends to work better than the others? You know, oftentimes with marketing, it's a compounding effect. Recommendations, so referrals?
Referral is by far the best, most impactful way to do it.
Got it. With the benefit of hindsight, what lesson have you learned that you wish you knew when you were just getting started in this business?
Well, on the speaking side, I would say absolutely speak as often as you can. Speak for free. It doesn't matter. A, get good. B, get your name out there. I started my career by writing a book, and then I took some time off from writing and focused on the speaking. I wish I would have stayed with the writing more early on. Now I write. Last year we had 3 books come out. I have a book scheduled for this year and a book scheduled for next year. So
why do you wish that? Going back to when you said that you wish you would have done more writing and not jumped as quickly to speak. Why is that?
Not jumped as quickly to speaking, but continue to write while I was speaking. When I write, the research, the energy that goes into it causes me to learn, to grow, to develop new content, to become better equipped to help my clients, either on the platform as a speaker or in the executive office. And so the writing for me has helped me develop, taking a message, for instance, around accountability to a depth that I don't see out there. I don't know anyone that has the IP on accountability that I do, but I don't know anyone that has written as much about accountability as I have. And so my writing has been the equivalent of 2 PhDs as far as I'm concerned.
Got it. What is one common mistake, Sam, that you see consultants make all the time that you know that if they didn't make it, they would be more successful?
Well, I think you already touched on that. And that's not following through on an incredibly timely basis. A lot of consultants are individuals. They're in business by themselves. They're not part of larger organizations. And so for those individuals that are out there where you've got the hat rack with 15 hats on it, and you've got to market, and you've got to sell, and you've got to be on site, and you have to deliver, and you have to do the payables and the receivables, and you're doing all that stuff. It's hard to stay up with everything, but you have to you're responsible to create an organization that is easy for the client to do business with. Not easy for you to live with, easy for the client to do business with. That's the first consideration. And so what support staff do you need, whether they're in-house or whether they're just 1099 or they're part-time or whatever? But what's your support system? So whoever's working with you, they need to feel like they're working with a first-class and world-class organization, whether it's just you or whether there's 50 consultants in the organization.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Very often, consultants hold off getting assistance, as you said, whether it's in-house or virtual, trying to do a lot of stuff themselves when a lot of those things can be lower value tasks or just not the right tasks for them to be doing because they could be spending their time on higher revenue producing or just higher value activities. In your case, how soon did you start to assemble or add on that support component of other people to help you? And do you wish that you maybe started it?
I don't wish I started doing it sooner because I started day one.
Well, there you go. What was the mindset around that? Again, a lot of people don't do that from day one. Sometimes they even wait several years before bringing people in. What was your mindset? Why did you just come to that belief or have that mindset around, okay, yeah, I'm starting this business, I need some support?
Because I knew what a business really was and how a business operates. I owned a manufacturing company. Mm-hmm. I didn't try to sell all the product, manufacture the product myself, enter the orders into the computer, send the bills out. I mean, I had a team. I had an organization. I had 175 employees that I couldn't have done what I did without. And so my partners and myself, we had built an organization that had experts at everything. And I felt in this business, if I was going to build it, the first thing that I really need someone to help market. And so I brought someone in, got some lists, put them on the phone, and off we went. And so not that it's always been easy. It's taken a lot of effort, and right now I have an employee, but I have a team behind me. For instance, in my speaking business, I have an agent, and my agent has an office with 6 or 7 people that handle everything on the speaking side of my business. So I don't have to deal with anything on that. Once someone says they're interested, from the sale all the way down through the delivery, they manage all that. And so my clients, they get world-class service. So I can focus on what I want to focus on, which is creating content, discovering new ideas, and then delivering that in the form of value, either on the stage or in the C-suite.
Yeah, so such an important point, because you're right. Like, there's a big difference between being a consultant and being a consulting business owner or an entrepreneurial consultant, where you recognize, as you mentioned there, Sam, so wisely, that it's a business. It's not just about doing the work. There's other things that need to happen to be able to create the work so that you can do it and really showcase your experience and expertise. Sam, I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing some of your story and wisdom here with us today. I want to make sure that people can learn more about you and your work, read your articles, see the videos and so forth. What's the best place for people to go to learn more about you?
The first and best place probably is the website, which is samsilverstein.com, or beaccountable.com will take you there as well. And then I love connecting with people on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of information that's put there. And that's the Sam Silverstein.
All right. Well, we're going to link all that up in the show notes. So if you're driving at the gym, haven't been able to go through it, you'll see a full transcript and also links to Sam's website and LinkedIn profile there. Sam, again, thank you so much for coming on.
It's been my pleasure. I hope the information was of service to you and your listeners. And anytime I can be of assistance, reach out to.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.